Right, look, with introductions out of the way, let's just start diving into the books, shall we? So, set 1. Use any of these, but, you know, refer to the core book. Probably even wait for the core book if you're about to start playing this. So, backgrounds, they're called, in this. So, the first one, on the very first page of the very first tier that we get in this, is apostate. So, that is, so again, you know, classes is a bit of a complication again. We'll get to that. See, classes, there's only really 3 classes, mage, rogue and warrior, but they have their own subclasses as well. So we'll get to that. But backgrounds, okay, so which kind of affects your race. Apostate. So that's an unregistered mage, if you like, you know, it's someone that the Templars would be very interested in taking in. And they can either be an elf or a human, and they have different benefits on their background chart that they can gain from one choice or the other. We have the Ovarian Hillsman. It's kind of human, barbarian-y type person. Again, it's a background, it's a race, essentially, as far as this game goes. We have a circle mage, and again, that could be an elf or a human. So they are the ones that live in the towers, and you know, they've got phylacteries and they've been through their harrowing, so they're okay. And again, you know, refer to the computer games. It is mostly specifically from the computer games. Of course, there's not like such wide background variety, but obviously in the pen and paper RPG there would be more, wouldn't there? You can play as a city elf, just, you know, basically city elf. That's one of the more sort of, you know, indentured ones. Then you can be the Dalish elves, they're the wild roaming ones. You could be a Ferelden freeman. You could be a surface dwarf. That's a dwarf that's, you know, come up to the surface and, oh dear, you know, he's been cast out now. He's castless. And so, I mean, that's the set 1 deal on that. And then all the classes, as they go, they have like a level up scheme as well that you automatically get. And then you've got things you have to choose at some points as well. So it's So yeah, that's it for set 1, because set 1 doesn't have any class specializations. So as soon as you get to level 5, which is what this covers, you've chosen one of the backgrounds, which could be one of the other backgrounds in these books. But there's no other specializations. The first specialization kicks in at level 6, and the next one at 14. Right, so if we have a quick look at set 2's origins as well, the backgrounds, because we'll keep on the theme of backgrounds, and then that will help you not get confused. So these are further backgrounds you can choose for yourself, okay, as a starting character. You've got the Antivan Wayfarer. You've got the Chastened Wilder. You've got the Dwarf Duster. Again, you know, these are your races. So there's one type of dwarf or this type of dwarf. One kind of human or a different kind of human. Ferelden Craftsman. Really subtle little changes happening here now come set 2. You see the theme here. They're really getting down onto the subtleties here. Free Marches Burger, the Highborn Dwarf, the Lowborn Dwarf, the Navaran Adventurer, the Orlesian Exile, the Kunari Beresard, the Talvashoth. So then we've got 2 types of the Kisith, the grey-skinned people with the horns, who very often get referred to as Kunari. You can be, you know, 2 types of that, you know. Beresard and Talvashoth. Yeah. Which kind of covers it, really, for them. Then, again, you can also make your starter characters be some of the set 3 backgrounds, which are Ander Survivor. You can be an escaped elven slave. You can be a Ferelden noble, an Orlesian commoner, an Orlesian noble, an Orlesian student, a Ravani merchant, a Seheron convert, a Tevinter Altus, Tevinter Leighton, a Tevinter Soperati, a Waking Sea Raider. I mean, that's then all of the backgrounds as far as the 3 tiers go. So a lot of that's probably going to be humans, but you could make a distinction and say, well, I'm playing this race, and it's a very loose system. So if someone wanted to say, well, do you know what, I'm actually a dwarf, but I'm a Waking Sea Raider, there's nothing there's nothing to say that the GM couldn't let you roll on either chart, sort of thing. So be one of those, or roll once on one chart and once on the dwarf chart or whatever. It's just, or they could automatically take the Waking Sea Raider, but get like the dwarf have to have type traits. You know, the magic resistances. Don't worry about breaking the game, especially it's so early in little tiny subtle changes like that. You know, it's like, oh, you're getting that as well, magic resistance. Well, you're a dwarf. It's not going to hurt. Don't worry. You know, it's not a system that's absolutely reliant right from the beginning on those tiny little changes. Only as time goes on do you risk getting too powerful. And the big thing that really does that actually is loot. The type of magical gear you'd give people. Okay, classes. That's your backgrounds and races done effectively. There's nothing to say that GM couldn't even dream up something new that you want to do as long as it concurs with the world. But classes. So we've got subclass divisions. So we'll jump straight in from tier 2. Now this covers players from level 6 to 10. Okay, so we'll go to section. And when you hit level 6, you choose a specialisation, and certain classes can take certain specialisations. So, ways you can unlock it. You can unlock it in some sort of RP way as well, or the GM could just like give it to you, however you want to do it. So, we've got a mage specialisation here, Arcane Warrior. So that's effectively, a class. Again, you're a mage already, but now you can put on armor and kick ass and use your magic as your strength stat instead, and that kind of way. You can be an assassin as a rogue, yeah. And again, it follows the format of the computer game. If you haven't played the computer game used this format, except I think they did it at level 7 or something. And you choose a specialization, then you can choose a second one as you're leveling. And yeah, that's a rogue thing. We've got another rogue one, a bard. We've got a warrior one here, berserker. We've got a mage one, blood mage. We've got a warrior one, champion. We've got a rogue one, duelist. We've got a mage one, spirit healer. We've got a warrior one, templar. Now, you'll start to see here that there is a real mix of diversity across the games, all but like Inquisition, but all the previous ones had expansions, Awakenings, Dragon Age and 2, and all this, that those games introduced different specializations as well. So they've tried to kind of give a bit of coverage to all of those different ones. They've created a brand new one here in tier 3. Here's the tier 3 book. This is the printout for my convenience. This covers everything from level 11 all the way up to 20, so they did it all in one book. Okay, so they created a new one, especially for the RPG, and they called it Chevalier, and it's very, very sort of horse-based. But, how often they're going to be on a horse, there's some debate about that, isn't there, really? You could go into how useful that would be based on the kind of campaign you're playing, I don't know. But, you might want to do it. But it's not in the computer game. It's just for this, and they didn't cover absolutely everything from the computer game either. So they've made their choices of what to include here. And the Chevalier is a warrior specialization, and then we've got a mage one as Force Mage. That was in the game, of course. We know another warrior one, Guardian. Mage one, Keeper, and obviously you would be a Dalish elf. All of these subclasses have a requirement, by the way, I should say. They all have, usually a stat requirement. You must have 3 in one stat and 3 in another, or 5 in this stat, or that sort of thing. And I think it's good that they've done that, because it stops the absolute min-maxers, so that you kind of have to decide early what specialization you want to build towards, because you have to start leveling that stat and that off stat type of thing. So you can't muck about too much, and if you haven't got the stat, you can't take it, and build towards it. Another rogue one, Marksman. Another rogue one, Ranger, because the rogues really did suffer from, the ranged rogues really did suffer from lack of abilities before. I'm kind of surprised they didn't at least put one of those in like set 2, either marksman or ranger, just one of them, just to like cover the bases for those purely rangy people. But hey, another rogue one, Shadow, mage one, Shapeshifter, which I personally think is useless both in tabletop and computer game. But hey, it's flavoursome, I guess. If you turn into a wild boar, and then the flavour is roast pork. Warrior is Spirit Warrior, and that's the last one there. So that's your classes and races and backgrounds and specializations covered. So I think the most important thing with a game like this is choose something with the most interest and flavour towards you, but be mindful of how to build it early, and just have fun with this easier to play, simpler, more elegant system. And if you're new to RPGs, learn the trade through this, and you'll decide what you like, what you don't like, what you want more complex in your next RPG you play. It's a great foundation game. And until next time, I'll see you at the table.